Only this time, they well and truly blew it.
In 1982, Ford launched the slippery-shaped Sierra and made a mistake that was to cost them millions. They pitched a very modern car at a very old-fashioned and deeply conservative market. The smart set wouldn't drive it because it was a Ford, and Ford fanciers hated it because it didn't look like a Ford. The Sierra was Uncle Henry's worst marketing muck-up since the Edsel. Initial sales slumped because it was a car that was too ahead of its time. In fact, the radical new Ford was actually very good. By 1985, those contentious jelly mold lines had become a familiar sight and were widely accepted. In my time, I must have bought and sold literally hundreds of Sierras and reckon they're one of the most dependable and reliable family cars you can buy today. They're simple, sturdy and cheap to fix, and capable of racking up extraordinarily high mileages without demur. But don't take my word for it.
As a fleet manager, I have responsibility for a fleet of something in the region of 1,000 business cars, at which something in the region of 200 were Sierras. This Sierra has always performed well. There's never been any major problems with it. It's been relatively inexpensive to buy, the residual values have been good, and its operating costs have been what one has expected and well up to par. There are plenty of them around, there's plenty to choose from. Obviously one needs to choose a Sierra with care because many of them can have very high mileage cars. But there are a lot of Ford dealerships around, so parts aren't a problem, and there's always a ready market when one comes to trade on.
So what goes wrong? Well, precious little, actually. If you avoid the very early cars up to 1985 and go for the post-86 models that have had a facelift, there's very little to leave you stranded on the hard shoulder with the bonnet up. The great thing about the Sierra is that it has all the mechanical simplicity of a knife and fork.
With regular maintenance, 100,000 miles is certainly not unexpected. 150,000 miles is very possible. Indeed, we have a vehicle here that we service at regular intervals and is currently 150,000, just over in fact.
And the best news is they're so straightforward they can be serviced anywhere. At this fast fit centre, they'll fit a new radiator for £60, a new exhaust for 98, replace a pair of shock absorbers for 55 quid, and change your oil and filter for just £14. Does that sound cheap enough for you? There are far more Sierra models than there ever were Cortinas, and these are some of the best. An uptown carryall, the very capacious 2-litre-I gear estate, makes a real load lugger. You've got your trendy roof rails, your alloy wheels, headlamp wash wipe, electric windows, central locking, everything bristling with all the appurtenances of gracious living. There's also the very sure-footed 4x4 with its gusty 2.9-litre V6 engine. Interestingly enough, the police say that the 4x4 was one of the best motorway patrol cars they've ever had in service. But if you don't want a hatchback, you've also got the choice of the much more happily proportioned Sapphire, which is effectively just a Sierra with a boot. Second-hand, they're worth probably 200 quid less than the hatches. But my best buy has to be the good old 1.8 LX. It'll clip along at 70 miles an hour all day and return 30 miles to the gallon. The models to go for are made after 1990 with these darkened tail lights, and you can buy a decent G-plater for around 3,500. They are the most reliable, the best made, and you get the most equipment for your money. And it's all of these virtues which made one motoring magazine call the 1.8 LX Sierra Used Car of the Year. So not only is the Sierra tough, dependable, and can be run on a shoestring, it's relatively cheap to buy too. Take this 92 1.8 LX J-plate car, done 14,000 miles, a touch under £7,000, and this is a nearly new car. Or you can go to the other extreme and buy an 8-year-old C or D-plate car for less than £2,000. And if you buy privately, you can pick them up for even less. If you went out tomorrow, you could come back with a very presentable car with a long MOT for less than £1,000. So there literally is a Sierra for everybody. The Sierra may be as exciting as a chartered accountant's Saturday night out, but it is that rare beast, a used car without vices, and I, for one, shall mourn its passing.
But in the end, it was simplicity that got the better of Ford's family saloon. You see, the man with the bad haircut and the brine-eyed